in blue or black, it will make it easy to see. That's what somebody is saying, not me.
Hello, technical room. They are saying if the color is blue or what color? Blue or is it better now? Oh, but can you see now? Is it better? Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. You are the best. All right. So welcome back. Let's just. But now I have not seen our Oga convener. Where is Father Ate? So that he won't sanction us for starting. Where is our bell?
No, doctor. Doctor,
Yes?
you can start.
Okay, thank you. Oh, the one in charge today. All right, thank you. So welcome back. Let's get going, please, and bear with me. So this is our second to the last session, I believe. Let me see. Let me just quickly confirm session 6, 7, and session 8. Okay, so 3 more to go, and that's it. Okay, I want to make sure we're in good time today. Which session is this? 7. Okay. So here we are. Conflict resolution through land regeneration. So here, of course, everything we did yesterday, I think there is something now. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what this is. But is it from the technical room or from the way they slide? I don't know, but it won't affect us. So understanding land-related conflicts. Land conflicts really emerge from nowhere. They typically, I think, are from, I don't know, underlying something. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. Is there a way you can help us? No way you can help us? Anyway, so I think it is saying that typically they are coming from underlying cause or pressure, unclear governance, competition for survival rather than systems, and no, I need to find out what's wrong with this slide. Father Ate, something is wrong because they help when people can understand. Technical room, can you go to the original document, not the PowerPoint? Because this is taken from there to see what's the problem. Underlying resource pressures on clear energy. Perfect. Thank you, sir. Wonderful. That's why. When you have a good technical room, they solve all your problem. That's the most difficult part of meetings, eh? The people in the back end. Perfect. So land conflicts really emerge from nowhere. They typically develop from underlying resource pressures, unclear governance system, and competition for survival, rather than inherent human tendencies towards conflict. So basically, all what we discussed yesterday around conflicts, whether it is at the household level, the parent is late, there are 4 children, there is 1 piece of land, everybody is struggling to get more or to fragment it. that will lead to conflicts, even fertile conflicts, right? So it doesn't just come from nowhere. It's not just because human beings love conflict. I think that's just the fundamental understanding of the statement. That conflicts related, land-related conflicts don't just happen because I love to have more land, or I just don't like Father Ate, who is my younger brother. But it's from pressure, and when governance is not clear, right, and competition for survival, right? People want to survive. So literally we can excuse why. But yesterday we dwelled on how can we move from this scarcity mentality to abundance approaches that allows us, and that is what I like so much about this nature-based regenerative agriculture. I'm always amazed. For years we farmed conventionally. We struggled. We struggled to get 2 tons on a hectare of land. We struggled. And today with ease, we get 5 tons without counting root crops. By the time we put in root crops, especially yields from cassava and potatoes, we are in double digits, upwards of 20. So it is so important how we can just leverage this simple technology and we can produce surplus food. And then we said there will be no need then to do this land grabbing. At least the ones at the household level is avoidable. The land grabbing that is not avoidable maybe is the one that government wants to come and do favor. Oh, a big company has come from China, from whatever, and the governor has promised them, or the commissioner of agri has made a deal. I know in Kenya there is this conversation around 70 million acres somewhere with Qatari investment that is never clear. So that type of problem we cannot solve in this room. But the ones that happen at community level, at household, amongst brothers, and particularly around productive family land for agriculture. Because if we remove that conflict, the next land-related conflict will be around trying to build a house. How much land do you need to build your house? In Nigeria, for instance, I mean, you don't need a lot of land to build a house. Maybe just like this hall or less. But the land for productivity, for production. So, what are we saying? That if we can deal with these underlying pressures and deal with how land governance, and you know yesterday we talked about stewardship, land stewardship, right? These ideas, we are sowing the seed to always think about it starting from the family, from the household. Imagine where regenerative agriculture comes into a household through maybe one person and others see the productivity and they are happy, and instead of conflict, they decide to, oh, so how do we now utilize all the biomass from my land, from your land, this all together? How do we all go out and make sure we secure sufficient biomass, animal dung to improve the soil? That collaboration, rather than competing, how do we divide it so that I can take my own part? Right? Even if we are divided already, but if one person learns this method and the other brothers can agree to do the same thing, the root cause of demand for more land will be solved by increasing the productivity of the existing land. The pressure of opening forested virgin land to turn them into agricultural land will be solved when the existing low yield agricultural land is improved and it gives surplus outcome or output. So the whole thing, again, back to our point yesterday, is around productivity enhancement. How can we use these nature-based techniques to improve productivity? Because agriculture is production-based like any other component of the economy. It's input, output. What do we put? How can we get more? And imagine how can we get more sustainably, doing no harm. Doing no harm. Then we will be aligned with what's the encyclical of Francis? Laudato Si. Right? We will be in tune with that. We will be in tune with that, and that will be a very good framework to help us at least urge us on that what we are doing is also in line with the Mother Church's idea. But we can resolve this conflict from the paradigm shift of what if land is not the problem, but land degradation is the problem. Because most of our rural conflicts around land is the desire by one member or the other to have access to more land in order to grow more, in order to provide for the family, in order to meet up financial obligation. And therefore, all of this, the underlining, the nexus is productivity. If as a farmer, I can get my needs will be satisfied with 10 bags of corn, and I can get it on a space of this whole. As a farmer now, I will not want to get that 10 bags on 3 times the size of this room. No, it doesn't make sense. It is not a business model that a farmer will be interested in. If my needs requires 10 bags and I can get it here, it will be so unwise to go and expend energy, because whole of production is powered by energy. Inputs translates to energy. Plowing translates to energy. So why expend more energy on a land that is twice where you can get it? The only thing you need to change is the technique. So regenerating the land is at the heart of our methods for conflict resolution. And I can tell you, the social objectives of our methods is social cohesion. And I have seen this in multiple communities where just adopting regenerative agricultural practices have solved conflicts in families, in households, over land. Especially when people are tired of the conflict. And one member just said, okay, the one that you have left and we are fighting over this fertile one, I will go back to that one and I will try this regenerative agri. In no time, he will rebuild this one, and then there will be peace between him and his brother, because they are no more dragging over that one. And imagine stopping shifting cultivation as a method of agriculture in Africa. I need to shift there, and I need this one to rest for 3 years. You need to shift there, and you need to rest. Imagine that with just basic practices, we stop shifting cultivation. Imagine that with basic practices, we stop slash and burn. So, all of this, we have to look at it from why do we need to regenerate? So resource scarcity conflicts, competition for water resources, water sources, overgrazing of common pasture, disputes over fertile land, these are fundamental problems, right? Environmental degradation conflicts, soil erosion is affecting neighbors, deforestation and watershed impacts, chemical contamination from farming, all of these are environmental conflicts. And for my country, the Niger Delta part of my country is a classical example where everyone that cares about trying to hear news from Nigeria, when you go to the Niger Delta area, the common news is where Families recount, oh, we used to go just behind the house, because behind the house means just stepping from the house and it's water, and we could fish. Today, no fish. We only see fish when they've died and they are floating, because the water has been polluted, contaminated. And then they will tell you, now we have to go very far. And when you are out there, you meet bandits, you meet pirates, all sorts of things. In fact, it's documented, CNN, Al Jazeera, where the women will go with their legs and they will do like this, and when they remove their leg, it's covered in oil. Water, if they fish like this, you see this thick coating. Oil spill, flaring, all of that. We may not be able to change that, because it's a fundamental government issue, because also it's done by multinationals. But at least we can raise awareness. We can add our own voice. But imagine, who knows, when one of the chiefs is a parishioner, then we can have the whole community rallied around to say the justice we want is not to contaminate and create an environmental and degradation conflict, chemical contamination and all of that. Overgrazing, conflicts over the pasture land, and we discussed a lot yesterday, farmer-herder conflict. And I was surprised also to learn from other countries that they're having these farmer-herder conflicts. For me, that's the one that is so easy to solve, because the mentality is that the cattle need so much land, which we have demonstrated that is a lie. With little land, you can keep sufficient, especially the heads of cattle that are kept in Africa, 10, 20, maybe 100. We're not talking about 7,000, 10,000 heads of cattle on the large ranches in Latin America and North America. We're talking about people with 20, 30, 50, maybe 100. Most of the Fulanis in Nigeria, average head is 33 or 30, upwards of around 30. But they're everywhere, moving. This one has got 30, that one has got 50. They're everywhere, they're on the road, right? And the good thing about our practice, what we have demonstrated with regenerative agriculture in Nigeria, is that all the pasture crops, we didn't go to import. They are the existing pasture crops in NAPRI, the National Animal Production Research Institute. They've been there since 70s. We just went and picked them, and we seeded once. We never seeded again, and we are harvesting, we are grazing. The Napier we got from Kenya is everywhere now. And it's solving the problem of moving around. Because of that, it's not that we were keeping cattle. We first kept a few. Then people started saying, well, you just have few cattle. So we kept 100 plus, just to demonstrate a point. Just to make a point that it is the most unacceptable thing that farmers and herders kill each other over resources that our lands can produce. Because conventional agri will say, oh, you need the land to grow corn. But regenerative agri is saying that you can grow corn and Napier together, because what we found out in our own farm, when you put corn and Napier, there's a particular worm, stem borer. I don't know if you have observed, where corn fields tend to break in the north, and when they break, when wind blows, they break. You find a worm inside that have made a hole. It bores a hole in the corn stalk. Have you noticed? Have you ever seen? Yes. So stem borer is a serious pest for corn across Africa, all over the world. And we found out that stem borer loves to bore napier more than corn because napier is sweeter. So mixing your corn with some napier around, the stem borer the worm will stay more on the napier, and therefore it's a natural pest control system for stem borer. Because the two things is fall armyworm and stem borer. These are the two pests that destroy corn production. And we can solve one while also solving the problem of pasture to feed the livestock. So it's just thinking and engineering simple things that solve the problem. My country is the worst affected by farmer-herder conflict. We suffer more than any other country on the continent. Another conflict situation is boundary and inheritance disputes. And we talked about it yesterday. Unclear land boundaries, intergenerational land transfer, gender inequities in land access. These also create problem for us around land. Land, simply, if it is delineated and clearly the boundary shows where mine starts and yours end, and everybody is taking care, not just leaving the farm, no sign of boundary, no tree lines, nothing, it's fluid. Imagine if everybody's farm is like this example of the farm we showed you. Everyone knows where his boundaries start and has kept his buffer zone, planted trees. And that's why we developed the integrated crops, trees, and livestock system, so that you can help with the tree lines. And you can decide different types of trees for your boundary from your neighbor. But it helps you to physically see that this is where my own starts and ends. That takes away that issue. The inequality around land rights to women, I think, is something that should be of concern to us, because in Africa as a whole, in my own tradition, they said the reason why the girl child cannot inherit land is because she's going to marry in another family, and therefore, if she owns a land and marries a husband from another tribe, then that husband becomes her allegiance is to her husband. By the time she has a son, that son will inherit through her, and therefore the family land has gone to another family. You can understand, right? So, but that's our tradition. That's what our people believe. But I think if we consider what we said yesterday, see the family land see our role as stewards, and therefore the daughter can use it as much as the son. But we are not interested in balkanizing, fragmenting, such that she can take it titled to her. But it's a land that the family cares for. The family keeps it in custody and will continue to show good stewardship. So if the lady, for instance, is the first child, that means she will be the first to be able to contribute towards this stewardship. And she's doing it. And the brothers can key in later and all of that. I think some of these conversations, right, are very important, right? And so saying that if you have transferred it to a male child, what if this male child fails to have a successor or whatever, or the people that come from them also at certain point wants to truncate that stewardship? But if it is kept, access is the concern here, not transferring it permanently because I'm a boy, I have inherited it, so all the girls, you don't have land. I think land is important, as we said, as an identity to individuals and to the community. It's important. So addressing this inequality too is very important. Crop damage by livestock, blocked traditional grazing routes, water source access disputes, again, farmer header related conflicts. This is typical in Nigeria. And the blocking of these grazing routes is not only by farmers. Governments who have built airports, in fact, our city, the new capital we have in Nigeria, Abuja, was built on a grazing route. The whole of that was the passage from up north down south. And the Fulanis who are nomads used to pass there. Today is our new capital. But of course, you find them even in the capital city today grazing right to the presidential villa. Yes? Because they've not forgotten that they used to pass here. Their parents have told their parents, their parents, their parents, their parents. So, when these things happen, we need to re-envision. So solving this problem will not be by saying we are opening new routes. It's by saying what needs to change. What if the problem is not grazing routes? What if the problem is grazing routes become necessary only to take them to where they can find feed? Therefore, the problem is actually access to feed to their animals. And then we teach different ways to grow the food that they don't need to travel to go and meet it. Because the grazing routes only become essential when it will take the cattle to the feed and to the source of water. So what if we can practice husbandry where we are producing the feed on land and water source can be created on land so that the cows don't have to require routes to go to graze, routes to go to water. What if that's the problem? Because the whole conversation I hear even now in my country is that, oh, they need to open up the grazing routes, oh, they need to create new alternative grazing routes. But that's not the discussion. The appropriate question to me is, why are grazing routes important? Why do cows need grazing routes? The Fulani man will tell you two answers that can become one. So in one go, we need grazing routes to take us to pasture and to take us to water. So with that understanding of the problem, the next thing then, how do we provide pasture and water that does not require grazing routes over thousands of kilometers, hundreds of kilometers? And that's what we demonstrated sustainably to keep our cattle never going outside the boundary of our farm. From 1 to 2 to 100 to 100 plus. Just to say that it's doable. Just to say that it's doable. So, these issues are serious. Imagine soil erosion. Imagine chemicals. If conflict starts, because the only stream from where the community drinks is being poisoned with the herbicides of the farmers, it's a serious conflict trigger. The only source of fresh water in the community is poisoned by the upstream farmers with their herbicides. Or it's blocked because somebody dammed it. Then the downstream are without water. So our own solution is, what if we can farm upstream without pollutants, without chemicals that contaminate water? What if we can farm upstream without blocking the fresh water that travels downstream by creating watersheds to harvest rainwater and farmers are able to crop? So this second look at the problem statement and reframing it in a way that it is distinctively different. So understanding the problem is more important than imagined solutions, so that we walk from problem to solution with clarity. That is also different because the problem is trying to repeat, like the conversation going on in my country even now, finding new grazing routes. Why? Because the next problem is grazing routes to where? Let's assume where the freelance used to be are no more. So you might end up with alternative routes, but to where? To nowhere. To nowhere. So, relooking at these conflict-related triggers, whether it is environmental due to degradation or resource scarcity mentality and boundary inheritance disputes, farmer-herder conflicts, are very important because parishes that have people suffering this can do a demonstration to say, listen, this land, we just want to grow pasture and other things just to show that it's possible. And people can look at it and say, oh, yes, this is the right thing. How productive land resource conflict resolution, how productive land resource conflicts are solved, I think. Yeah, are resolved. So we say regenerative agriculture as conflict resolution. First is the abundance mindset. Second is the collaborative practice. And third is case example. We need, I will start from the last. Why is case example so important? Because perception is more important than reality. Therefore, whether or not people have practiced and experienced it in life, the fact that there is a perception about a problem, or that there is a problem, or that the problem is unsolvable, you need to show a clear case example that will help this perception to move. Because people have believed that once cattle routes are blocked, or imagine the perception that cattle of the nomads must move. So the nomads believe that without movement, so the first survival, the first thing, okay, I'm a nomad. By nature, I need to move. I need to move my cattle. Right? Even those that are non-nomads begin to associate cattle rearers with movement and begins to connect that their movement takes them onto the croplands, and that will trigger conflict. Oh, when they are even moving, they carry dagger. Meanwhile, the dagger, they used to carry it to cut food or maybe cut branches for their cows. Now they say no, they are now moving because when there is conflict, of course, they use the dagger. So can you see? So even the perception around the header carrying the dagger, it means that he's carrying the dagger to hurt another person. So all of these things. So case examples are very important, and I'm working backward. So farmer-herder integration through silver pastoral systems, where you can bring in livestock into agriculture, bring it forestry into agriculture, or bring agriculture into forestry. But since we always start with degraded land, so it's like the land is bare, so agriculture may be the first thing there now, maybe the existing practice there now. How do we bring back tree system? How do we bring back livestock into this system? And later, during question and answer session, I will show some photos of real farms that we have built, and the cattle are living and grazing sustainably. Community watersheds improving water security for all. The beautiful thing around watershed, especially the African technique of half moon, is that it does not compete over water as a resource, but creates equal opportunity for everybody with your small land or big land to harvest the water that comes from the rain. So it grants access, first and foremost, on the land. Everybody has equal access as the rain is falling. So the scripture says, the Lord's rain now falls on the farm of the righteous and the unrighteous. So as the rain is falling, you are harvesting according to your size and the number of pits you have. Eh? So it's a win-win situation. So harvesting and managing water through watersheds is very important. Cooperative tree planting, resolving boundary disputes. Once we can organize and show example to our communities that with simple, and it's so important that in Nigeria, northern Nigeria for instance, do you know, before the colonial or during the colonial masters, no, within the customary court system in my country, I can claim your land if I can prove to you to the what do they call them? To the legal system, the customary legal system, that I was the one that planted this tree, and this tree is my witness that this land is my own. That's all I needed. So if I can lease your land in northern Nigeria, and then if you just look the other way and I plant trees around it, and then I now refuse to leave the land, and you take me to court, all I need to prove to the customary system is that I was the one that planted this tree, and that's my proof that this land is my own. And that is it. You can easily lose your entitlement to that land. So imagine where then we can work to say, okay, this boundary disputing, can we agree as a community to demonstrate how simply planting trees, because trees are living things. The day you planted them, people would have even seen you planting them. But imagine you plant different types of trees on your boundary and he plants different. It solves the problem. No dispute, because there's physical evidence. Not that, oh, my great-grandfather bought it, but there was no CO4. There was, okay, when I bought it from you, nobody was there to witness. You already, I have paid you for the land, so the land is my own. Or, the example I gave yesterday, this is my own land, or this is my own land, and this is your land. But every year, when I prepare my own land, I come here. Next year, I come here. I have mobile boundary. My boundary can shift. But if we agree in a collaborative, cooperative way, okay, we are tired of these mobile boundaries. Every farmland, please build certain trees. Even if they are the same type of trees, but build trees. There is no way we're going to wake up and shift the trees. So it solves the problem. And the trees add to environmental outcomes. Youth employment reduces migration and land pressure. It's true. So today, if every youth is leaving Tika and is heading towards, what's the next town after Tika? We're in Tika, right? Heading whether this way or that way, away from Tika. What it's doing is that demography of the two communities are changing. The other one getting lesser demographic pressure, creating more demographic pressure in where they are migrating to. So imagine if our young people also find source of livelihood and they stay in their own community where they feel identity and common value system, where they value the land, but not land because it's land, but land that is supporting them economically is very important. Collaborative practices, community work days, joint labor on regenerative projects, that Parish can do very well. with small land, then we agree. Okay, once and so time we all come together, we work. Parish priest will crack jokes. I remember our parish priest in those days. What he used to, whenever we went to work to do anything, he would come with some just simple things, a bit of snacks, maybe even water. People will joke, laugh, and people are happy. People are happy. Resource sharing. Father was just telling me about how he tried in his own community, bought equipment and everything, but nobody to work with him. And I was telling him the first thing is engagement. He needs to engage the people. He needs to explain to them. He might have to do this a couple of times, but one or two people may find, especially the young people, that having tried all this moving around, I think I like what Father is doing. Let me contribute. And once you get one, you get the second, the third, and then you put these things as shared resources. Helps a lot. Okay, yeah? So this exchanges, okay, all of this around equipment, knowledge exchange, and all of that. Farmers and herders working together in an integrated crops, trees, and livestock system. Watershed management again, upstream, downstream cooperation is very important. It's very important that we find a way to create these collaborations. If they don't, then we will live with a problem. And if we can't solve the problem will solve us. How will it solve us? It will consume us, isn't it? And we are, somebody said something yesterday, Fadate, did you say 34 of the 53 countries in Africa are in conflict? 36. Wow. Just imagine. Avoidable conflicts, most of them, because most of these conflicts are resource-based. But what is staggering is that our leaders don't connect these conflicts to economic problems, to material poverty, to injustice. Because there will never be justice. There will never be peace without justice, and there will never be justice without certain material benefits where people are seeing that their needs are met. We will have conferences discussing the conflict, and what I find fascinating, identifying the leaders of the factions and try to buy them over through individual gratification, contract awarding, position awarding. It will not solve the problem, because what we have seen happen in Niger Delta and some part of our country is that then very soon other groups will arise to become leaders of their faction, so that government will call them and give them something. Or they will try to kill that leader to succeed, because they notice that being leader of the faction group makes you relevant, brings you to the decision-making meetings, but above all, places you in direct control of resources for the community. That's what we want to avoid by working transparently in a collective way. So the solution to it is trying to see how we can work together. So if there's a farmer header problem, how can we practice regenerative agriculture that incorporates crops, trees, and livestock? And start with a demonstration so that both parties, farmers and herders, can see and learn from it. Rather than saying, oh, is that, who is the leader of the Fulanis? Who is the leader of the crop farmers? Then what do we do? Okay, you, they will gratify you. Take this to your community. Then the conflict will continue. Because now it will move from resource conflict to also power struggle conflict. So we literally burgeon a simple issue. And we talked about abundance mindset. So I worked backward, right? When land produces more, there is less competition. Surplus creates opportunities for sharing and trade. Success models inspire cooperation rather than competition. And yesterday I told you about our creation of mutual trust groups. Because the whole thing at the core of our mutual trust groups is to understand that you can never succeed alone. So you are 50 of you, you are stuck together. So success is working for every individual to succeed. If one person fails, everyone fails. But bottom line, productivity, surplus. And the first move towards surplus is reduction in cost of production, which everyone agrees with today, that the conventional agri is very expensive. Buying those inputs and chemicals costs a lot of money. That means if I can produce more with less, I am better off than producing more with more. Are we together? It's a common logic now. Producing more with less in comparison with producing more with more. Or much more with more. I don't know. Producing more with less makes sense. Producing more with less makes sense. So the role of parish priests in land-based peace building. So we are suggesting again what we have said, that priests as mediators. You hear our confessions. And you try to, so you are mediators now. You make deals happen between our sins and the forgiveness of God. So also between neighbor to neighbor. So priests have to get involved. The daily problems of the community should be the daily problems of the priest. Priests cannot be isolated from the conflicts in their own community. Therefore, hearing confession about the aggressor's sin in a conflict situation is not the bus stop for priest's role. Preventing the aggressor from or eliminating the cause of the conflict is where the priest will be most effective, so that there is no need to hear the confession of the aggressor. So, and what makes priests to be suited for this role? Neutral position in community conflicts, moral authority for promoting cooperation, platform for community dialogue and planning, access to both conflicting parties. Because they will all come to your church. They will all come. Or you can come to theirs. No matter how bad it is, by the time you walk in there with your collar or with anything, nobody will just take a gun and shoot you. So whether you are invited or not, but you have a unique platform that is very important in resolving conflicts in your community. Practical mediation techniques reframe the problem from who owns what to how can we all benefit. Imagine. Because maybe as a priest, you are torn about, no, I am the one that owns the farm. Oh, I'm the one that owns it. I'm the one that owns okay, he owns the farm, but I own the tree. Oh, he owns the farms, but the river that's coming down there, I had started my farm upstream before him. Right? So, if we dwell more on who owns what, I think even when we find solutions, will be temporal. But if we shift it, if the priest reframes it, okay, I've had both parties, but how can we all benefit? How can we all benefit? Now, you will understand whether the conflict is truly about human hatred or resource issue. Because if it is human hatred, that means you are saying a kind of conflict akin to the Holocaust or akin to what is even going on in Gaza. If this resonates, how can we all benefit? Then you know that you are dealing with a resource problem. Create shared goals. Focus on common needs: food, security, income. Food, security, income. I want food. I want to be able to, I need this land because I want to have food. I want to have income to pay for my children's school fees, for hospital bills. I need this land because it secures me. My cattle can be safe on it. Right? So if we focus on this, then we will say, oh, so that if that's it, then the benefit is around everyone seeking income, seeking food security, and all of that. Right? So that shifts completely, shifts away. So you are building from how can all benefit and then focusing on the critical, common, shared benefits. Because if we agree to have a dialogue around how can all benefit, then the next thing is that what are these benefits? So maybe I will list 10, my opponent will list 8, but out of the 10 and the 8, we find that there are 3 that are common. Can we then work to achieve these 3 and achieve them well, that every party will be satisfied with the outcome? Design win-win solutions. And again, for us, because I don't want to teach you what we have not practiced, for us what has worked is using land to integrate crops, trees, and livestock, because it takes care of both herders and farmers, and therefore solves our problem. Build on success. Use demonstration plots to show possibilities. Facilitate dialogue, regular community meeting, focus on solutions, not on the issues. The day the issues have been identified and we have curated practice to resolve the issues, it's unnecessary when we come to dialogue to again say, let's rehash the problem. No, let's again rehash the issues. No. Every time we meet is in the solutioning. What did we do that has brought us closer to solving the issue? What did we do that was most impactful? What did we do that didn't work well? So all of our learning system and knowledge management is around curating the successful ways that takes us closer to the desired outcome of shared needs. Not going back always to remind, by the way, again, before we go into this meeting, the reason why we're here is because your father poisoned my father over the land. That's not the issue. That's reopening wounds that have started healing. But each time we come, we are focusing on the solution. Okay, so we said our goal was to produce more, right? Yes, for both parties, right? So we've done this season. What did we get? Oh, we got this, we didn't get that. Why did we get this? What did we use to get this? What did we use that didn't contribute to getting this? Okay, remove that one. We relearn, we course correct, we adopt, we manage knowledge. That's how it works. And these things are not read in books. These things are hands-on experience in dealing with real life situations every day, asking the questions, having understood the problem. And we said this one is very important. Spiritual approach to conflict resolution. Spiritual approach to conflict resolution. I don't know how many of you, because you're in the business of spirituality, maybe you have taken it for granted. Have you ever given it a thought? How much it means to a parishioner to see a faithful priest, a priest that is committed to the people's physical and spiritual need. It means everything to a parishioner. And that is why I think I remember one of the popes, I don't know which one, says, your parishioners must not believe that you pray. They must see you praying. I remember reading in one of the books, I don't know which of the popes, recent popes, or one of the saints. I think it's one of the saints. I must have read in one of the Catholic literatures. And the Superior was telling his congregation that it is not enough for your parishioners to believe you are a priest, therefore you pray. It is not enough. That they must see you praying. They must see you. When it is not good enough for parishioners to assume that you are my priest, therefore you are born again. No. They must see the fruits of the new life. And that's why the meditation this morning was so instructive, especially the two brothers that shared. The one that says, having been risen, not to go back again to what we have been risen from. Because as a layperson, I deal with my demons every day. And therefore, I assume so from experience, that each day a priest deals with his own demons. I deal with my demons in fidelity to my wife, in fidelity to my workers, in commitments to the goals and values of my company. And therefore, I believe a priest daily deals with his own demons. In fidelity to his 3 vows, your parishioner will be super, super, super. In fact, you know sometimes, Pope, which of these popes that always say, pray for me? I think Francis. Francis will not want to ask me to pray for him because when I see him living right, it gives me joy to pray for him. It's very difficult for parishioners to pray when they are doubting their priest. It's very difficult. How do I know that? Because it's very difficult for me to pray for my president today. Even though the scripture tells me, pray for your leaders and those in authority. It's very difficult. I'm telling you this confession free. Because I believe that my president doesn't have the interest of me at heart. So while the church tells lay people, pray for your priests that are struggling, I can tell you, I'm giving you confession. I'm a lay person. I know priest friends that have had issues. And I can tell you, it was much more difficult for me to pray to them because always it's judgment that comes first before I start to pray for them. But I know that this priest is struggling. There is a problem. But but it's so easy for me to pray for my priest that I have the understanding or the perception that he's on the right track. And you know the type of prayer that wells up in my heart? God, please keep this one safe. Protect him from evil. Because you can see he loves you. And therefore, because he loves you, he'll attract more attack from the enemy. So it's natural for me to say in the morning, oh God, help that priest that is true to and faithful to his calling. Do you understand? So it is not a priest must to do this role. It will be very effective. We watched a family movie with my family about a bad man that promised to kill a priest. So they start to ask everyone, all priests, up to the bishop in the movie. Then somebody got to talk to this man because he kept sending letter that he's going to kill a priest. Then he told somebody, or I think he met a priest, and the priest was afraid. And he said, so it's me you want to kill? He said, no, why should I kill you? I want to kill a good priest. Hello? He said, I want to kill a good priest. He met a priest in a dark road in a movie, and the priest was shaken because this man has been posting in the community parish that he's going to kill a priest. So he met one priest one day in the dark place, secluded. And the priest started trembling. And said, so finally it's me. The man laughed. He said, why do I want to kill you? I want to kill a good priest. Do you understand? This matters in society. And finally he killed, in that movie, he killed a good priest. And it's a true life story. He killed a good priest. And this, I can't remember the name of the movie. And the priest that he killed, this priest in particular was married before, and his wife died. He has a daughter. Then he went back and became a priest. And became a truly good priest. And affected the spiritual life of his community. But there was this person that had grudge in his heart, because he had had encounter with a priest that had abused him in the past, in his youthful life. So he had wanted to kill, but he said he will never kill a bad one. He said he will only kill a good one. Anyway, he killed the priest. What I'm saying is that to be seen not only to be spiritual, but truly to be spiritual is very important to the society. And therefore, that gives the priest the platform. Somebody, the platform to do this. Prayer and spiritual discernment in decision making, forgiveness and reconciliation process, stewardship, theology as a foundation for land use in the community, celebration of shared success. These are all spiritual. And God will only give that discernment. And if God can give, because I don't know what God gives or what God does not give, but the society will welcome the idea and the spiritual healing from a priest that doesn't only seem to be, is practically seen to be spiritual. Very important. So, because I told Ate, coming here also means that because we are born from the church, we are economy of communion organized company, we also want to support. So I will try to discuss few things that we think can be useful for any participant. So we think that there are partnership opportunities and we can offer available support. Technical training, advanced regenerative agriculture techniques can be available to any parish priest from any of these countries that wants to try. Market access. Well, we have connection to larger buyers. This could only work if we create the same system, and because some of the buyers we are working with are multinationals, and we can say, okay, also in your country, if we create a cluster of organic and natural products, we could sell, for instance, Nestle. Nestle has a commitment to the world that by 2030, they must source 30% of all cereals, of all commodities that go to making their cereals, Cerelac, right? Cerelac, and the baby formula. And basically, they are made from corn and soybean. So they have part of their climate action in reducing the carbon footprint of Nestle is that by 2030, all the 30% of the global baby formula that will be made in any factory of Nestle in the world must be sourced from sustainable agricultural production. So that type of collaboration, partnership we can offer. Financial service, well, this is mostly again for projects for priests around Nigeria, because last year our company got a license from the central bank to operate a unique microfinance bank to help provide financial services and financial literacy to our farmers. So currently, we don't need to worry about financing our farmers who have adopted regenerative agri because now we own a license to run a bank. So that bank, and we pray for it every day because our goal is that we want to do what Muhammad Yunus did in Bangladesh with Grameen Bank. I don't know how many of you, some of you that have read development economics or done courses in development, you would have heard about Grameen Bank in Bangladesh, and you must have heard again that last year, the then president of Bangladesh banished Muhammad Yunus. When the citizens chased her out, they went and brought him back, and now he is the president of the country, try to organize, because the whole nation said, look, this, Madam President, you are the source of our problem. And a good man that has helped millions of families come out of poverty, you have banished and was on exile in France. Now he's back to his country. But that book inspires us. In fact, 3 years ago, we had company retreat where we made every manager to read. We ordered the Grameen Bank and made every manager in our company to read the book. Because it's a practical guide. How the man as a lecturer started, I think, with $100 note, $100, to build system of financial support to poor women, whom he found out to be suffering because he was teaching economics in the university, studied economics in US, but his economics was just theory. Then he realized that some women were suffering. They made raffia boxes, baskets, and sold them. So he asked them how much they made. Each of them borrowed $5 from a middle person. They made how many raffia baskets? I can't remember the numbers now. And then they only make few cents. When they finish making it, they turn it over to the person that traded in those baskets. And the woman made few cents. So he started an experiment with $100 and gave $5 to some women. And he noticed that in less than 3 days, they all paid him back his $5 because now he didn't contract them to make raffia and bring the baskets to him. He told them, take the $5, go make the basket, sell, and pay me back my $5, no interest. In less than 3 days, all the women paid back, thanked him, and continued to expand from the profit they made. So he noticed what has kept those women in perpetual poverty, making the raffia, was the middlemen giving them to produce and give them, and they pay them for their labor, rather than giving them to produce, to sell, and make profit. So the middlemen had capped their growth. You can only get the commission for making the raffia. You can check the book. The Banker to the Poor is the title. And Muhammad Yunus is a peace. He won a Nobel Prize, I think, on peace or economics. I think on peace or economics or development. So from there, he created a method. Every woman can introduce 4 others to make 5, then he will lend you money, and he never cancel a loan. You have to pay the loan back. And then when you finish, you can introduce another 5. All of them, until millions in Bangladesh, millions, literally millions documented, came out of poverty. So we should not underestimate what we can do, especially when it comes to crowding in people to work in groups, whether we call them cooperatives or whatever. But having shared goals, having shared commitments, and getting support. $100 notes is what Grameen Bank started with. I think today is the biggest bank in Bangladesh, and it has branches in many other countries, even in Philippines. So it's very important thing. Second inspiration for us seeking license is what Alibaba did in China with his platform, the Alibaba platform. Because it's a very, very simple business method. Alibaba didn't get out to do some tech high. No, he just wanted to create a platform where artisans and small businesses can sell and get their income direct without hassle. And today we know what Alibaba is like. I'm sure all of you might have seen the platform. So that is the essence for us getting into financial services. Technology platform, yes, this digital tool for farm management can be made available anywhere because it's a basic tool we have that just helps us know every farmer, know the members of their family, know the location of their house, know the location of their farm. It's very simple. This one is very basic. And then peer learning. Yes, connecting with success parish projects. So imagine if all the parishes from Nigeria go back and they want to do this, we also have the capacity to support them to say, oh, this one has succeeded, come and learn, and that, and that. So that kind of peer review, peer learning methodology. Network benefits, shared learning from success implementations, bulk purchasing power for inputs and equipment, because this will become critical by the time you have 10, 20 people. Rather than allowing them to go and buy the nature-based inputs or seeds, if you bulk purchase, that also we do a lot. Improved seed varieties and technologies, marketing support and buyer connection, technical problem solving, support for RA system. When we say improve seeds, for us, we are zero tolerance, zero promotion of GMO. Not because we are against it, but because common sense tells me, why are the consumers in the West willing to pay a premium price for non-GMO food, and yet they say GMO food is good? So whenever I can't find answer to the problem, I go back to look at what is common sense. So why is it that when I take soybean from Nigeria to the US or to Canada, they will pay twice the price per bushel or per kilogram than the soybean that is produced GMO in America or in Canada? So since I don't have answer to that, I just keep our people to stick with the open pollinated seeds, whether they are hybrid or non-hybrid, but they must be open pollinated, meaning that they can cross-pollinate, and I can take from it again and plant the subsequent year. It will get pollinated by nature, not the one that has terminator gene. When I plant it, what I harvest cannot produce another, right? No. So that's what I mean by seed technology. So basically, we want to walk back. So one of the things we do in every community is we teach them to create what we call seed bank. From the first harvest, they select the best performing crops and preserve them for the next coming season. And therefore, each of our communities have their own seed banks. In fact, we only supply good hybrid seed once in the life of our communities. And they just have to keep selecting the best grain, and it's giving them. This works for us because we don't depend on any single commodity. So as we are expecting yield from corn, we are expecting from groundnuts, we are expecting from soybean, all in an integrated way on the same plot. So our metrics for yield is aggregate. So when I tell you that we get 5 tons and above on a hectare in grains, it's aggregate from the sorghum, the corn, soybean, groundnuts put together on a hectare of land. So we have our metrics to measure aggregate yield, not single yield. Tell me, okay, so corn, how many tons did you get on a hectare? We don't even get into this conversation. That conversation is for conventional monoculture, and we are not in that business. That's not our business space. "90 days implementation planning template." So again, because yesterday a lot of you say, oh, we couldn't do this, oh, we couldn't do this. So we try to clarify again today.
Please, let me just ask a question for clarification.
Yes, sir.
Just what you talked about, and you said hybrid seeds are offered only once to your workers. It means when there is open cross-pollination, the dependence on hybrid seeds is reduced to zero.
Yes, so what are hybrid seeds? Hybrid seeds are open pollinated seeds, but they've been improved through line selection, pure line selection. The genes are not contaminated. Hybrids are created by observation and enhancing related things. So they can walk backward. And open pollination means they need to be pollinated by the insects, by the air carrying the pollen from another. It's different from GMO seeds that are self-pollinating and they can only do it once. So if you take that seed, you will not get harvest. But with open pollinated seeds, you can always have harvest. And so what we do, going back to how our ancestors, when they harvested corn or sorghum, they took the best ears or the best heads, cobs, and they tied them and hung them. Usually in my community, we have the place where cooking is done, right? That open shed that they made where they cook food. So they will hang the seeds, and they use the smoke from the cooking to keep away insects and pests from damaging the seeds. So especially corn and sorghum. So they'll just, and groundnuts and cowpea, they'll tie them in bunches and just hang them up there. And then they cook there until planting season. That's what my people did many years ago. But today, we have the technology of the PIC bags, so we don't need pesticide to store seed. We just put them in the bag, tie in the inner one, and tie the outer cellophane, and sew up the bag. No oxygen. So the seeds can stay without being contaminated. And then we went to local communities, and we are also told that the women and men, they will buy jerry cans, 30-liter, 50-liter jerry cans, and then they turn in their seeds and tie it up. Even if there was a little air in it, but because they now leave it outside in the sun, it heats up and everything. First, it just kills everything inside. Some use drums also. They just put them in drums and leave them out in the sun. So there are different techniques to store things today without pesticides. The worst one called, is it Photon or something in Nigeria? It's a kind of a tin, a canister with tablets in it that they are using to store cowpea. And it's written poison on it. It's developed for disinfecting warehouses, large storing areas. And usually, if this is our warehouse, you drop maybe one in every corner and one in the center. After 7 days, you have to open and aerate this warehouse for another 1 week before storing things in them. You'll be surprised, farmers in Nigeria today take 2, 3, 4 tablets and put them in a 100 kg bag and seal it up. And that's how, at the end of it, they take it to the market and sell. You don't find, and we teach our farmers and our partners that any day you go to buy beans and you put your hand and you can't see an insect in it, don't buy. Because beans are associated, no matter how it is stored, you will find 1 or 2 insects, living insects. But the way these conventional agric people have worked on our psyche, they even tell you, if there is insect in the beans, don't even eat. It's not good for you. It's not healthy. It's not true. It's not true. It's not true. Is that clear, Father? Okay. So, please, let's try to look at this, because yesterday we had a lot of, we didn't do the planning. So basically, 90-day action plan template. There's 1 to 30 foundation setting. And what are we expected to do? How do we select site? How do we get the communities engaged? How do we discuss to mobilize resource, especially tools, seeds, and initial funding, and then formation of parish agricultural committee. So this is what first 30 days plan will look like. Second 30 days will look like initial implementation. How do we prepare the land using minimal tillage, water harvesting, construction of half moon or any other ridges or whatever, first planting using intercropping methods, and training sessions for community volunteers in integrated crops, trees, and livestock system. And then 90 days, the last 90 days, ongoing maintenance using regenerative principles additional community member recruitment, marketing, plan, development, network, connection with other parishes. So this, I thought, and you know how God works? He works in a mysterious way. When you were making your workshop presentation yesterday, quite a number of countries said, oh, they didn't understand how to make the 90 days plan, right? And you can take my word for it. I didn't speak to my team back in the office. When they sent me my slides for day 2, I saw this in it. And I didn't tell them that there was need to show how to make this plan. So when I saw it, I just said to myself, God is behind whatever we are doing here. Because I didn't tell them, oh, please, we're having challenge. They made it. So when I saw it, I said, this is providence, because you all have the slides, and you can, I hope the participants will all have the slides, right? And you can also share, because these slides are a bridge version, we have produced a document for this training, a module, in a Word version. It's more detailed than these slides. So you can also give each participant that document for those that would like to go in depth. Okay, we think also monitoring and evaluation frameworks are important. So key indicators to track: agricultural productivity, peace building, impact, community development. We think that making it this simple will help parish priests take action. And whatever you cannot measure, you will never get achieved. I'm a firm believer of the old school of monitoring and evaluating things. If you cannot measure a thing, measurement doesn't have to be complex, but we need to always measure. If you can't measure it, you can't monitor it. Because how do you know the difference between this and the difference between this and this? Until you are able to measure the distance between each pace. Very important. Simple, practical. Why is agricultural productivity key? Crop yields, very important. We need to make sure that we are measuring the yield we are getting per hectare using regenerative agriculture. Because that's the way your farmers will say, hey, yes, when I used to do conventional agri, I used to get 5 bags or 10 bags. Oh, this one too has given me 10 bags, and I didn't spend the 70% to buy fertilizer and pesticides. So that helps. So productivity. Diversity of crops produce income. How does that happen? So you have the cover crop, maybe you use potatoes, sweet potatoes. So you harvest your corn, you also bring out the potatoes and sell. All of this helps you. So polyculture is important because it brings it. And apart from the income, what about crop failure? So let's assume there is you are doing vegetable during a particular season, and then there is tuta absoluta that destroyed all of the tomatoes. But also you had a pepper or or sweet melon or watermelon or other vegetables, okra, any other thing, skuma wiki. So it helps you. When you diversify the crops, it protects you against crop failure. It also scales your income. And then generated from parish land. Okay, so this is continued 1 and 2 and 3 are the same. And then number of households adopting the techniques. You need to also know how many people. You have 1 today, after 6 months, do you have 3? Do you have 4? Right? With every increase in number of adopters, you work backwards for your planning for market and all of that. What of peace building impact? You need to keep your eye on reduction in reported land conflicts, increase in collaborative activities, community activities, youth retention in agricultural activities, women participation in land decisions. It's very important. The good thing about diversity, in the real sense, now I'm not talking about diversity, the skewed diversity. The real diversity of male-female ecosystem is that diversity helps us to avoid blind spots. And blind spots are the worst things you want when you manage project, where you have been hearing yourself over and again that you cannot even know when you are wrong. So when you have male, female, everybody having a voice is very important. Community development, what do you want to keep your eye on? Number of active participants in the project, skills developed in the methodology, leadership emerges from activities, and then replication of this also technique beyond the parish, right? So this is community development. That you are saying, oh, imagine when we started this agricultural project, that youth only comes to Sion when there is disco. But now he's the one that mobilizes. Oh, that lady, she never wanted her nails dirtied, but now she's our leader in e-market and social media. Right? So keeping the youth, retaining them is important, because without youth, without children, there is no future for the church. Are we together? Okay. Parish to parish network. Again, establish inter-parish learning exchange, create priest networks for knowledge sharing, develop parish agricultural coordinator roles, plan annual gathering for best practice sharing. I don't know how you have to just read because the bullet points have shifted. And then, what about regional expansion? Identify champion parishes in each region. We can all participate to help you with this, because we will collect the data from you and we can share. Develop training materials for local context, yes, because whatever you have from us is what we are doing. But as we said yesterday, you need to understand, and you did very well, crop mix, what type of local practices, what type of agriculture are your people doing. What you are having is the template for SCL that focuses in promoting regenerative agriculture in Nigeria. It will be different from what you want to do in Uganda in terms of developing the material for the training, because we have to take into consideration what crops, what trees, what livestock. Create mobile training teams, yes. Establish regional demonstration centers. Wow, that would be very good. Just imagine, in Nigeria, they come across, how many regions are you? From north central, northwest, northeast. 6 regions. Wow, fantastic. How are we done? So, action steps. And I think, I don't know, please, technical team. The technical team please help me. Is this synonymous with the workshop for this evening? Hello, technicians, people in the technical room. Is this synonymous? Is it the same with what we have for day 2 workshop? Can you please check the document, the Word document, and see what is the content for day 2 workshop? So we said each parish priest completes current land conflict assessment in their parish, available resource evaluation for implementation, land people funds, potential partnership identification, local organizations, government. We done this yesterday, remember? Initial site selection for demonstration. O2, peer learning groups, formation of support networks, group priests in geographical proximity, establish communication channel, WhatsApp group, emails for sharing. I think this might be more or less what will be like our takeaway. Plan quarterly check-in meetings, create body systems, for mutual support. I noticed that you priests have your own bodies too, who you are more, who you want to like to jab and joke with. Commitment and next steps. Public commitment. Each priest makes a public commitment to establish a demonstration plot within 6 months. Train at least 10 community members in methodology in the first year. Document and share results with the network. Host at least 1 inter-parish learning visit. Then support structure, monthly virtual check-ins, we can help. Quarterly regional meetings, annual conference for result sharing, emergency technical support hotline, and issues. Let me say, closing ceremony. I'm so happy that this is done. Is it time for lunch? Aha, blessings, blessings, blessings. Remember to what? Remember to Hello? Technical room, try to help me read this. All right. Closing ceremony, blessings of the mission, blessing on all the participants and praying for fruitfulness with the knowledge they have received, prayer for wisdom and success in implementation, commitment to creation care. Oops, what's that? Am I the one that did that? Commitment to creation care and peace building, exchange of contact information and partnership agreement. Final reflection. We go forth not just as priests, but as agents of transformation, carrying the seeds of peace through regenerated land. May our parishes become examples of God's abundance and community cooperation. And of course, that's our website. You can find a lot on it. And that's my email address for communication. Thank you very much.
Blessings. Remember to count them each and every day. Blessings. Remember to count them each and every day.
I think I'm one, and I am just somehow overwhelmed by the graces of God, because when you are in the business of development, your team matters. And somehow God has been so providential. Every time He sends us the best team member. And so as we grow, we have people that are not only strategic, but they think with their hearts and with their mind. And I tell you again, I have no input in any material said here. My team, they produce it. They only ask me to go and present. And I'm just imagining what they put here, that you should count your blessing every day, right? Count your blessing one by one, and it will surprise you what the Lord has done. So
count your blessings every day.
The Lord has done. And again, I have the most diversified team. Catholics, Protestants, Pentecostals, even full families that are into Pentecostal mission, husband and wife, Muslims. So my office is full of everyone. A complete ecosystem, complete. So I'm so grateful, and I want to thank you. I thank you, Father Ate, for this opportunity, and I pray that this has added in a little way to your training here. Thank you.
Good, Doc. Thanks so much. Yeah, we meet again in the afternoon. So before I hand over to the MC, I just want to say we do our clapping. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Swa! Good. Please, can you project the workshop questions so that if they're there, you project them for day 2, so that we look at the questions, although we shall still send them to the forum. But let's just look at them now. And then 3 o'clock, we for the workshops, and then we make sure that we go faster today, so that by 4 we have our break, and then 4:15 we are here, because we have a lot to discuss also. Workshops like yesterday, countries. Good, just a moment please, and they'll project the questions. And one of the things that I have noted and the action plan is really the networking. the networking. And we shall ask him later in the afternoon. In their financial plan they have only for Nigeria. Can they not extend? I saw the question in the face of Farangala. Yeah, because everything is possible. Everything is possible. Good. Are you finding it? Okay, then we shall send it to the forum. We shall send it to the forum.
We thank Dr. Andrew for a wonderful presentation, and we shall all rise for the prayers. And in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Son. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Bless us, O Lord, and bless these your gifts, which are about to receive from your goodness through Christ our Lord. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.